Good.
Are we gonna get those 2 piles out then pretty soon that are there now still? Because they weren't removed yet.
We got the first pile of stones moved pretty quickly. Now we'll address the other 2 piles.
Okay. Also, what is the plan for the beaches? There's still a lot of wood and debris scattered along all the beaches, what it looks like.
Right. The Parks Division will send a loader down there and clean it up best we can with that. And
I saw the prisoners were there today at Main Street Beach, but they were just picking up small garbage and putting it in baggies. But there's a lot of big wood down there, and I don't know if that's being saved for any of the bring your own chair events, but it's a bit of a mess.
We'll handle the big wood, and I'd also like to announce that the United States Navy is going to have about 30 sailors that are going to be in town on Friday, and they have to do some volunteer work as part of their training mission, and they're going to clean the beach of litter from the pier all the way over to behind the high-rise where it tends to accumulate by wave action. So we have some volunteers from our armed services that we're going to welcome and treat them well at the incubator, and then they're going to do some work for us along the beach. But the heavy stuff that you can't move by hand, we will address with our equipment, and we're also with shared services.
Okay. Last thing I have is, while I was working shared service for the city today, I was stopped by a gentleman that was asking if on that driveway that leads out to the yacht club, he said in the past that when the driveway was a little bit more west, there was a bit of signage by there that reserved a spot for the sheriff, so that when they're there to get to their boat, and I believe he said for the DEC, and he was wondering if we could get signs back up there again so that they'd be up closer so that they could get to the boat.
That entire fence, it was designed so they could have reserve signage put on it. We just haven't got to it yet.
And then he also asked, because he lives on Robin Street, and he said when he sees people walking down to go for the 4th of July, a lot of people are in walkers or something because they can't get down there, and was wondering if, at the very least, if during the 4th of July, if we could make some of that handicap parking so the people aren't walking from parking on 3rd Street, walking through the tunnel and walking down to get down there.
Yeah, that whole strip, that the road that now leads toward the yacht club is not a yacht club road, but it just happens to be there. That's primarily reserved for being a disability spots. 1 or 2 will be there, and it'll also be 24/7 police/fire only. There's a need to have several spots reserved for that. And we'll probably put, with the mayor and I will review this, we may put a loading or unloading spot there for somebody that has to do something in that area. Other than that, all that stuff is going to be reserved for those things that we did in the past. The signs just are not up yet.
All right, and then do we do anything to prohibit them from parking on the lawn there?
There will be a sign on the easterly side, no parking on this side. And then once we do that through the proper process, then it can be police enforced, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Councilman Williams. Councilman Bamanto?
David, how are we doing on seasonal staffing, especially with the lifeguards?
Well, I'm pleased to report that I think we're going to reach our goal sooner than we did last year. We employed some new advertising in the HR department, and it seemed to bring the kids out, or interest the kids a little bit more. And we've actually had one full class recertification that was completed last week of 10 students. And so we're going to be all set.
And we hired some more seasonal staff?
Yes, we did. We had 9.
For parks and streets?
Yes.
Are we still looking for more?
Yes, we are.
So let the people know we are still looking for more seasonal help.
Yep.
Get down to City Hall and apply, please. Thank you.
Yep.
Number 2, Rebecca, can you explain what's going on with the Spring Fest this weekend?
Yeah, we have the tournament, not the baseball tournament, but I'm blanking on the softball tournament that Ryan Hall.
Oh, the home run derby?
Home Run Derby, thank
Okay.
you. Will be this weekend. Music on the Pier starts this Thursday as well, so that's the kickoff for the music, which will be at Memorial Park. And then we have multiple different events happening during the weekend that will be posted on the city website.
Okay,
Available.
thank you. Who else I have something here for? Number 3. Music at the Pier, we got that. I'd like to thank the mayor and everybody involved with the Memorial Day Parade. I think that was the first time the city ran it. Very well organized, well attended. I think we all had a good time. The kids had a great time. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank Jim Fisher, revitalized Dunkirk, all the help you guys been doing for us. You know, it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Vermonto. Councilman Heenan?
Nothing, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Heenan. Councilman Civiletto?
I also want to thank Revitalize Dunkirk. I was at the cleanup, the community cleanup, and it was fantastic success. It was cold that day, but we got out there and it started to rain, but people persevered and we went out and we cleaned a lot of parts of the city. Want to let everyone know that this weekend on Friday, there's going to be an event at the Adams Art Gallery, and it will be highlighting what they're going to be doing over the next year. It's meeting the board and talking about the center, and it's really not the Adams Art Gallery. It's the Adams. It's just the Adams, and basically talking about what the ideas are for what's going to happen in the next year. Especially turning it into a fine arts or whatever type of event center it can be offered as. So we're also going to be cleaning it up on Thursday. If anyone feels like coming and helping us out after work at 5 o'clock on Thursday, we'll be there getting ready for the event for Friday.
Councilman,
Yes.
what's the time?
Time is at, what was it, 7? At 6 o'clock. Starts at 6.
6 to 10.
6 to 10. Did want to ask Rebecca, I'm happy that we closed on the dog park and that we're moving along. I know the weather's been horrible and that whole section has been a muddy mess, but where are we with the process of getting that opened up?
Yeah, so we recently closed on the entire property as well as the dog park that's on the property and the building that will be turned into the city's animal shelter. I'm going to be meeting with Randy and Glenn to go over plans for the shelter and to get all of the installations into the dog park. Hopefully this June we'll be able to get the dog park open and we'll be working on renovations at the shelter.
Fantastic. I want to thank the mayor for sending that application in and actually handing it in Albany himself, I believe, is how that works. So thank you very much. One other thing, I did want to respond to Mrs. Nichols' the last council meeting. She talked about the area that her husband and her family worked on diligently to make sure that there was a green spot by the pier, and of course the city is very grateful for that. But she talked about how there was going to be changes. I didn't make a comment at the time because I wasn't 100% sure, but I had been to all of the different pier proposals and had looked at all the plans earlier. I never remembered anything being changed there. The two pads that were laid, the concrete pads that were laid by her husband are going to stay. The two trees that were planted are going to stay. The green area is going to stay. In fact, the flagpole is going to have a nautical theme added to it. There's going to be nothing but improvements to that area. So I'm a little confused about what the questions were, because not only was it talked about during the common council meeting, but also in the newspaper. So that area will be the same or better than it was before. We're actually, and Mrs. Nichols was told this by our engineer, that we're going to be putting a monument stone there with her husband's name on it. So I was a little confused about what the problem was, but I can assure her that everything's going to be the same or better than it was left by Mrs. Nichols and her family. And I believe that's it.
Thank you, Council.
We're not going to have a public safety committee this month. We have it every other month, and we had one last month. I believe it's on the calendar, but that's going to be taken. Sorry.
That was previously scheduled for the 12th.
Yeah, so that will not, that'll be next month.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Civiletto. My microphone decided not to work, so. Mr. Rivera, I just wanted to thank you for stopping by today to speak to us during the workshop session and to speak to us here and answer any questions or concerns we may have had, and I appreciate you standing up and representing your group. Thank you. Glenn, a couple questions for you. I see we finally got some burnt down houses down on Deer Street. Any timetable for the burnt down houses on the corner of Roberts and Route 5? Or is that a Rebecca question? Right next to the Don Polsky Club?
We actually, I believe, have one of the owners in court here tomorrow.
Oh, wow, okay. So hopefully something this summer then? Okay.
In addition, we also have some additional funding through CDBG that we can use towards demos, so we'll be looking at that.
Okay.
location.
Okay, thank you. That is all I have. There is no unfinished business, so we'll move right along to pre-filed resolutions. Resolution 53.
Resolution authorizing a bond resolution for the acquisition of a fire truck for apparatus.
There's actually supposed to say a resolution authorizing a bond sale. So it is correct on the paperwork itself, but it was just transposed onto the agenda incorrectly, so we'll chalk that up as a typo. Resolution authorizing a bond sale for the acquisition of a ladder, fire truck, and apparatus. Any discussion, council? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voroshin.
Aye. Number 54.
54, resolution authorizing a lease agreement for an office copier at the wastewater treatment plant.
Any discussion, council? Councilman Williams?
Just want to mention, we did talk about this at the last Finance Committee meeting, and I believe that it's going to end up costing less than what they were paying before on the previous copier.
That is correct. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voroshin.
Aye. Number 55.
Resolution authorizing execution of letter of intent to lease City of Dunkirk land within Town of Dunkirk.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voroshin.
Aye. Any new business brought before us? Walk-ins? Last-minute changes? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first. Who was that? Councilman Heenan with the second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voroshin.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.